What's going on, everyone? This is Anthony Sain of the Anthony Sain Show with Kenny Stubblefield. For those of you who found your way to Bluff City Media through me and did not particularly follow Bluff City Media before you started following because of me, you may have never seen this man. This is the voice that you guys hear in the back, like Nanny on Muppet Babies.
I've been called your white conscience before.
Yeah,
I don't have a camera in the studio yet, but
that's cool though, man. We are here today to chop up something. I made the announcement that we will not have a show this Wednesday because of the 4th of July holiday. We would have had to record on July the 4th, so we won't have a show on Wednesday. But I told you, Ken, there's no way in the world I was going to wait until Friday to talk about Derrick Rose coming to Memphis. Quick story real fast. I was out last night in a small venue at a concert, a very small, intimate setting. And Gabe calls me at about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
This is my 9-year-old son.
Your 9-year-old son calls you at 10 o'clock.
Yeah. So he calls me, and I was on FaceTime, and I couldn't answer because I didn't want to be obnoxiously talking into the air during this concert. And I knew he wouldn't be able to hear me anyway, so I just ignored his call.
Right.
So Gabe calls me again at 6 a.m. today. I'm like, Gabe, what's up, son? You okay? Dad, did we get Derrick Rose for real? I said, yeah, son, we did. Why didn't you tell me? I said, because it happened like at 10 o'clock last night. Oh, okay. All right. You know what I mean? Like, and I felt I was 9-year-old Gabe yesterday when we got Derrick Rose. And I've been the person who's been super against just adding another, because there have been people saying we need another point guard, we need another ball handler. I'm like, man, if we need anything, we need somebody with size. You know, I'm down for getting a vet as long as it's somebody that can actually play. And none of those things happened last night, in my opinion. I had to totally do a 180.
Right.
Because 2008, Anthony Sain went crazy when I saw Derrick Rose's name. And if I were to pick who would I like to be the Grizzlies, Udonis Haslem. Like, who would I like to play for this team and finish their career here and become that guy that's the OG for this team in the locker room? I couldn't think of a better guy. I've got several reasons why I like him on this team. I don't have a basketball conversation to have for you today. Yeah. I'm sure that Derrick Rose will play some while Ja is out. But when Ja comes back, he'll probably be more of a Kennedy Chandler type third point guard than anything. I don't see how he's in the rotation. I think his best days are behind him. But I'm extremely excited for so many reasons outside of production on the court to see Derrick Rose signing a 2-year deal here with the Memphis Grizzlies.
No, man, I'm in agreement with you. You know, it feels bigger. You know, you talk about the production on the court, and it's just it feels like we're kind of doing a disservice to the conversation, but just having a basketball conversation about this, right? Like, bringing Derrick Rose back to Memphis is an opportunity to heal old wounds, to rewrite stories,
right,
and to basically finish out a story that was told a long time ago that didn't end the way that Memphians wanted it to. And so that's where I feel like this is going. And I love what this has the opportunity to do. It has the opportunity to bridge some gaps, I think, for Tiger fans and for Grizzlies fans at the same time.
Yeah, man. I think a lot of people are upset about two things that are extremely petty when you sit back and look at them, man. When you step away from the situation, because things are definitely not as hot as things were back in 2009 when Derrick Rose left to go to the NBA. There are two things that I remember that people are upset of Derrick Rose about. Number one is, of course, the whole thing with him having someone take his ACT, whatever standardized test he had to take. Someone took his test for him. Memphis got in trouble for it. And so, of course, we blame Derrick Rose. But 43-year-old me looks at that situation. I'm like, look, this is a kid who didn't need to go to college to go to the NBA. He had to go the college route, was not prepared to go to college, didn't have the stuff he needed to go to college. People he trusted, adults he trusted, told him what he needed to do to go to school to get to his ultimate goal, which is the NBA. He had someone take that test for him, which was a foul thing to do. But I'm not going to blame Derrick Rose for that. He was instructed to do that by people he trusted, by people who were guiding him to get to his path to the NBA. Does he owe the school anything because of that? No. I never thought he did even back then. But the pettiest thing that I've seen people do is they're upset with Derrick Rose because when he went to the NBA, when they said at guard from Chicago, Derrick Rose in the starting lineups for the Bulls. And I think that's the pettiest thing for Memphis fans to have an issue
Unbelievable.
with. Yes, he went to the University of Memphis, but this kid was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. He took one. He was gone from 1 year to go to the University of Memphis, and he was back in his hometown that he never lived anywhere else. And he was the last player called to the Chicago Bulls theme music, which is the most iconic intro music ever in the history of sports. And they had it come out saying he's from Chicago. Guess what? He's from Chicago. We understand that he went to the University of Memphis, but that's not a personal indictment against the University of Memphis. Derrick Rose spent very little time here. But, it's still a place that he said that, was a big deal to him. I'm super excited about it, man. Just opportunity for I shared a clip on Twitter of a guy took from the interview when Ja was on. I can't remember those guys' podcast, the ex-football players, ex-NFL guys. I can't remember the name of the show. But they had Ja on, and they talked about the guy was saying he was a big fan of Derrick Rose. And Ja was like, yeah, I am too, man. And the way that he was just a quiet killer, he didn't talk on the court. He said, I don't know how he was able to come down, dunk on somebody, and just get back on defense and didn't say nothing. He's like, I couldn't do that. But now you're playing with a guy who can do that, you know what I mean? And a guy who can help this team mature. I said on Twitter, that is the most important thing that I believe the Memphis Grizzlies need to do is just grow up, man. Like, this team lacked a lot of professionalism, lacked a lot of maturity. And when you add guys like a Derrick Rose, like a Marcus Smart who can show you the way, and guys that you think that these guys would buy into, especially we're talking about Derrick Rose, we'll just stick to him. You're talking about a guy that Ja has looked up to, a guy that his game has been compared to, you know what I mean? Youngest MVP ever, played in Memphis, played with a lot of flair, played with a lot of swag. I remember when Derrick was questioned in the NCAA tournament about his team's success, he was like, man, we just go out there and hoop. That's an iconic quote that Derrick Rose dropped. I think that Ja would love having a guy like that on his team. Ja's sabbatical of Twitter ended last night. No one is talking about it. Ja hasn't been on Twitter for the entire offseason. He hasn't spoken about Dylan Brooks. He hasn't spoken about Marcus Smart. He hasn't spoken about the draft. A guy from South Carolina getting drafted to his team. Hadn't said a thing. Derrick Rose comes to the Grizzlies and Ja Morant comes out of his Twitter sabbatical to throw up the Ninja and the Rose. He's excited about it. There's a bad last night. Ja didn't say nothing about that. You know what I mean? So that's what got Ja to come off of his Twitter break.
That just gave me chills, you saying that. I saw a photo. Can I post? I'm going to pop a photo up here. I think it was by a group called The Clutch or whatever. But this photo, let me just take a look at this. Yeah. Tell me what you think. Look at that photo, bro.
Nasty, bro. Oh, man. Nasty.
I mean, come on, man. Like you saying that, because it's the truth. Like, he came out last night and he put the Ninja and the Rose, and it's just like, this is really.
It means something to him, man.
It means something to him. Like, Derrick Rose means a lot to these guys that are the new stars in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Like they grew up watching his highlight package. They grew up watching his MVP season. They grew up watching him lead Chicago. Mm-hmm. And it's one thing that's so interesting to me about Derrick Rose is like, yes, he's super quiet, but there's some iconic stuff about him out there throughout his time in the NBA. Like, do you remember when he got was it when he got traded from the Bulls to the Knicks?
I think so. Yeah. That
and
seems
they
like
were he was actually he was actually being interviewed for a show, and he got a phone call about the trade, and the cameras were on him the whole time. BJ Armstrong, his agent, was telling him about the trade. And you just get this kind of image of who Derrick Rose is. And it's like, that is one thing. Like, it's those kinds of interactions and those kinds of things that you see that make you go, this is why these guys they enjoy him so much, and why even him coming out of coming out of his Twitter sabbatical last night, because this is that dude. Like, this is Derrick Rose is that guy for a lot of these young guys. And so, man, you mentioned a few minutes ago, you talked about Derrick Rose being, they needed to get young. And I think or get older. I think the front office has been listening to you, because that's what this is. Like, that's what this is. These moves that are being made right now are moves that are made to make the locker room older. Now, Marcus Smart is 29 years old, and that guy is still a productive player, and he will be a productive player for the Grizzlies next year.
Right.
But you look at the addition of Marcus Smart and you look at the addition of Derrick Rose and you say, that's exactly what these guys are doing. The front office is saying, we need to mature our locker room. We need to get more veteran leadership and just allow these veterans to kind of guide these young guys along, because in the end, these young guys' talent on the court is going to be what it is. Like, they're going to be phenomenal. They're going to win a lot of games. But it's that in-between stuff. It's that, how do we handle practice? How do we handle off the court stuff? How do we handle pregame? All those.
How do you handle opposition? How do you handle when you get punched back? You know what I mean? How do you handle the tough stuff that happens throughout the season? That's what these guys need returning.
And Derrick Rose is the perfect example of that. Like, that guy went from an MVP season to, man, not really having the career that everybody thought he was going to because of his knee injuries. And so the man's persevered, and you see it even in the time he's been in Minnesota, been in New York, been in Chicago. Detroit. People love him, man. Like, they love him. In Detroit, they love him. And so this is exciting, bro.
Yeah, it's extremely exciting, man. And I'll just fast forward a little bit. We know that Derrick Rose is definitely not, the guy that we grew up watching with the Tigers, and he's not this, the young MVP anymore. He's a little younger than the Mike Conleys, the Chris Pauls, and these level of guys. But that his body is on the decline, and he'll never probably be anything close to that guy again. I don't even want to talk stuff on the court. But with that being said, we know that he probably doesn't have many more years left, to do this. And this might be his final contract. It could very well be. Or it could be a situation where he comes to Memphis, he loves it here. The Grizzlies see, what he provides. And, we keep him until he wants to stop getting paid. A la Udonis Haslem. He could be that for this organization. And I could also see a situation where he creates a relationship with him and Penny Hardaway, or he wants to be ingratiated in the city and kind of, spend more time there and be a part of the Tiger program in some type of way. I don't think he's a coach type guy. I don't think that's one of his aspirations. But I could definitely see him being an ambassador and an asset, to Penny Hardaway when it comes down to recruiting or just creating a positive image for this university, man. The sky are really the limit when you think about the things that Derrick Rose can bring, to this organization.
Well, another big piece of information dropped last night too, and I know we need to get into that. And I know Derrick Rose was a massive part, but then at about 11 o'clock Central last night,
right on the nose.
Right on the nose. Big information dropped about Desmond Bane. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Man, exciting news for Desmond Bane, of course. Got the Max Millie deal. Not mad at it at all. I think it's like 5 years, $207 million. That's quick math, 40-something plus per year. To the casual who don't understand, you'll call that an overpay. But you're talking about a guy who is probably on pace to have a 25-point per game season. He's going to shoot more than 40% from three. He's going to make more than 80% of his free throws. We talk about this Grizzlies organization who we've been begging for a shooting guard forever, a guy who would come in to be that, dynamic scorer. We've got that guy. He's going to go down as the greatest shooting guard in team history, easily. That's what these type of guys get paid. You talk about a guy who's 6'5", shoots the ball incredibly well, can score from anywhere on the court, can get to the rim, mid-range, three-pointers, free throw shooting. He's just been an incredible player for this team, and those guys don't grow on trees. So salute to Desmond Bane getting that contract. We'll talk about that probably more in detail on Friday's show. But exciting news, of course, for Desmond Bane to get that deal. I talked about this as well, man. We talked about this in the exclusive $5 a month Discord that you guys can be a part of. Where we talked about this last night in the wee hours of the night. I can only think of 3 teams in the NBA right now who have 3 max level players under a deal. When I say max level, I mean $25 million and up.
Right.
And I think that if Jaren Jackson Jr., if his contract year was this year, he would have got a max deal too. You know what I mean? So there's only 3 teams in the league that are paying guys $25 million and up. You know what I mean? Of guys that they drafted, and that's us with Jaren Jackson Jr., John Morant, Desmond Bane, the Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, when those guys were all getting those big deals back in the day, and the Denver Nuggets with Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, and Nikola Jokic. It's a good company to be in, man. You could be – there are 2 different types of teams in free agency, man. There are teams that have their own stars that they got one way or three types of teams. There are teams that have their own stars that they got one way or another, and then they're trying to acquire other talents. There are teams who don't really have much or nothing. They've got a lot of cap room, but they're hoping somebody wants to come to their team, like a Houston, somebody like that. Then you have teams like Memphis who drafted their own talent. In free agency, all those things don't matter as much because you're paying your guys that you drafted, you evaluated, you developed, you put time into, you put equity into. It's good to be in that camp, in my opinion, when you're talking about a team who's drafted 3 max-level talents on their team. There's no need to get excited about what you did with the mid-level exception when you acquired those type of guys, which I think is another reason why the Grizzlies are trusting their process when it comes down to evaluation, especially when you see a team like Miami who had 4 guys who were undrafted, and all of them got a payday. You know what I mean? You had Max Strus is getting paid. Gabe Vincent is getting paid. What's his name? Already got paid. Duncan Robinson already got paid. And then Caleb Martin, you know he's up next. He's going to get a payday as well. These were guys that were undrafted. What makes me think the Grizzlies organization who found Desmond Bane late in the first round, I trust those guys' evaluation. I've been on those guys hard. Nobody is took a shit on those guys as bad as me. The Zaire Williams, I can't think of these guys' names right now. The Jake LaRavias, the David Roddies. Right. Nobody's crapped on those guys as much as me. But I am willing to give those guys a chance and to trust them to make that type of move where they're clearly banking on their guys' development. And if they had went out and got a Taurean Prince, because you think about it, man, people are like, "Oh, the Grizzlies didn't do anything." What guy got signed that's a wing yesterday that you guys are stressing over? I'm trying to see who that guy is because everyone stayed with their team. Everyone, all the guys we talked about as possibilities, they stayed.
Yeah, they all stayed.
Yeah,
and they all got massive contracts.
Yeah, Taurean Prince is the only guy I can think of that was probably available. You could have thrown some money at, but what difference is he really making?
No, 100% right.
Is he worth saying screw Zaire, screw Jake, screw Roddy, all those guys? Because if you get a guy like that, you're only playing 8, 9, 10 guys max in the season. Those other guys, you're not going to be able to develop them with, whatever level guy you're talking about. No, that's not going to be what's the guy that from Charlotte, the wing with the curly hair that you almost traded Dylan Brooks for?
Kelly Oubre? No.
Yeah,
Kelly Oubre.
Who you want? I mean, they're not those type of guys out there. So I'm not mad at what the Grizzlies are doing. They're banking on their young guys. You got Derrick Rose, who's going to be a tremendous locker room leader for this team.
Unbelievable.
A guy that could be a hell of a mentor. Like we said, man, that guy got John Morant back on Twitter. I don't know if that's what we want y'all to do or not, but hope he goes back into his cave, man, for sure. Out of sight, out of mind. But it was a good thing to see his reaction for sure. I'm down for this, man. Like I said, 2008 me is super excited. It doesn't make basketball sense at all. I'll say that, but I really don't care. Because that level of influence in your locker room, a guy who is – because if I were to guess, I think that Ja's probably top 3 most influential players were Kobe Bryant, probably Kobe Bryant, probably me do 4. Probably was Kobe Bryant, Allen Iverson, Russell Westbrook, and Derrick Rose.
Absolutely.
2 of those guys aren't in the league anymore. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. You're definitely not going to put Russell Westbrook on this team. And you got an opportunity to get Derrick Rose, who has local ties here. I think it's phenomenal, man. And I'm throwing all University of Memphis stuff to the side. I don't really – of course, that's a factor. I don't care about that. He's the guy who has local influence. It's not just the fact that he played for the University of Memphis. I just think that he could come in, be a great asset to the city, and be here as long as he wants to stay. I hope it's that type of situation where the Grizzlies pay him those minimum deals like Miami is taking care of Udonis has him. They keep him around as long as he wants to be.
Yeah, man. I going back to the Desmond Bane contract for a second, and you look at the contracts that they have with Desmond Bane, with Jaren Jackson, and with Ja Morant.
A lot of money.
And I know there's a lot of complaints that have been made about some of the development of the guys, whether it be Zaire, whether it be Jake LaRavia, those kinds of things. But I just want to remind everybody that the same people that drafted Jake LaRavia, David Roddy, and Zaire Williams are the same guys that drafted Jaren Jackson, Ja Morant, and Desmond Bane. Like, these guys know what they're doing, man. Like, these guys are 3 guys that have been inside this franchise since the time they entered into the NBA. And now you got 3 of them that are making buku's dollars under the university, under the Memphis Grizzlies banner. And so it is a fantastic thing to have Desmond Bain as the starting shooting guard for Memphis for the next decade. I hope, as long as he wants to be. It's just a dope opportunity, man.
Yeah, man, for sure. Well, that's all I got, Kenny. I'm glad we made this short and sweet.
Yep.
I got my thoughts off. I feel good about Derrick Rose being here, and I'm sure you feel great about it as well.
I feel great about it.
Looking forward to Media Day, man, with Derrick Rose and Marcus Smart in the building for Media Day. I've not been to Media Day for the last few years. Haven't been interested in going. I definitely will be there this year to see what those guys have to say. Exciting times here in Memphis, man. Like you said, the organization does appear to be all in on developing their wings. You got 5 of them on your roster. you got 5 jumbo wings on your roster. 5 of them. You know what I mean? So not 5 jumbo wings. You got 5 wings, and 3 of them are above 6'8". So why not try to see what you have in those guys, man? Because if you hit, you're looking like geniuses, especially if a couple of them hit at the same time. So I'm down for it. I'm looking for a great season. The offseason does appear to be over. I don't think anything else major is going to happen. But we'll see you guys Friday, man. We're doing 12 or 3 o'clock for the release.
We're going to do 12 o'clock drop on Friday.
Okay,
Yep.
So we're officially moving everything to 12. Is that right?
Yeah, that's a quick announcement. We're going to officially move everything. Anthony shows are going to drop on Wednesday and Friday at noon every single week.
Yeah, that's what's up. So when you sit down and get your lunch at work, whether you're at the house or walking into a building, you can watch our show live.
Come hang out with Anthony, man.
Come hang out, man. Jump in the comments. But yeah, we'll see you guys. We appreciate y'all, man. And until this Friday, remember, we're not going to be on Wednesday because of the holiday. We will see you guys Friday at noon for Kenny Stubblefield sitting beside me to my, I don't know how y'all perception is, how y'all see the left or the right, but there's Kenny Stubblefield. Y'all see what he looks like now. For those of y'all who didn't know. We'll see you guys, man, and we out.